So I'm Inspector Don Coleman with the Calgary Police Service Major Crime Section, and I'm here with Staff Sergeant Rob Davidson from the Domestic Conflict Unit to address the incident from Tuesday. At approximately 12:15 a.m. on Tuesday, May 24th, 2016, officers responded to multiple calls of shots fired at a residence in the 6900 block of Rundlehorn Drive Northeast. Upon arrival, officers found a woman deceased and a 15-year-old girl injured. A short while later, a patrol vehicle spotted the suspect in a vehicle in the 4000 block of Whitehorn Drive Northeast. The suspect fired a single shot into the air from his vehicle before pulling over. Officers were able to take the man into custody without incident. 2 children, an 11-year-old girl and a 3-year-old boy, were located in the vehicle and were both uninjured. An autopsy completed by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner has confirmed the identity of the victim as Hue Ngoc NGUYEN, 41 of Calgary. The 15-year-old girl remains in hospital and is being treated for her injuries. Hyen Tuan Lam, 43 of Calgary, is charged with 1 count of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. He is the common law partner of the deceased and the father of the 3 children involved in this incident. And Lam is set to appear in court tomorrow, Thursday, May 26, 2016. So I'll answer what questions I can in regards to the specifics of this incident. Anything domestic related, Staff Sergeant Rob Davidson will follow up after this.
Yesterday it was mentioned that the suspect was known to police. I was able to pull up an old story from 2013 where that same name popped up in regards to a grow-op in Concord. Is that the same guy?
I can tell you that the individual is known to police, but not specifically as to how he's known, but he was known criminally to police.
Any indications of what might have led to the shooting? What precipitated?
It's our belief that over the period of the day there was significant tension in the home, which led to a prolonged argument, which ultimately led to a physical confrontation between the 3 involved persons, which led to the discharging of the firearm.
Why do you think he shot on Whitehorn Drive, like the one shot into the air? Is that signal police?
So far, investigatively, we're not really sure why that occurred. Only he can speak to that, and we don't know the reasons for the specifics of that.
Did he fight back when he was being placed under arrest, or?
No, he was cooperative at his arrest after the shot was fired. He surrendered to police.
How's the 15-year-old girl doing?
She's doing remarkably well, from what I can tell since the incident. She's a very courageous young lady.
In terms of the other children and herself, because they're all minors, do they have other family members to look after them?
Yeah, the social services response team is currently making an assessment on the situation, and they are with family until they decide what the prolonged outcome will be.
And so there are other family members, is it an aunt, uncle? Can you tell us that?
Other family members is all I'll say to protect some of the privacy of the victims.
Can you talk about, you say a common law partner, was everybody living in that same home?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, everybody lived in that home, and we believe the couple had been together for an extended period of time.
And you guys have never been called to the home for other domestic disputes?
No, there's no reported record of police involvement in that house, although we do believe there was some domestic history. It had gone unreported.
Can you talk about the 15-year-old girl and why she was shot? Was she attempting to stave off the attack on her mother? Can you go into it?
So far, investigationally, from statements, it appears that both victims were targeted as a result of the ongoing argument, and the same result occurred for both. As to specifically why, I don't know that, but they were definitely the target of that argument and his actions.
Who were they arguing about?
I think not specifically, but there's some family problems that had continued to be discussed over the course of the day, which led to the prolonged argument.
The firearm used, was it obtained illegally, or was it, can you say anything about it?
I don't know how it was obtained, but the offender in this instance is prohibited from possessing firearms. He does have a firearms prohibition, but I don't know how he got the gun, but that would all be part of the investigation as we go forward.
Did the family have any financial problems at all in terms of why they were fighting? Or?
I'm not sure. I believe the offender in this case was unemployed, but I can't speak specifically to the financial status of the family. I don't know that.
Do you know if the suspect and the wife were immigrants, new immigrants to the country?
I don't believe so.
What was his intention with taking the two younger children? Was he gonna go with them? What was he gonna do?
Not sure. That hasn't been formalized yet. I'm not aware of what his plans were or if he's disclosed that to police at all.
Was it
Is he cooperating with police?
Somewhat.
Is it very common for these types of domestic situations to reach the escalation point where someone discharges a firearm, or?
I'll defer that to my partner from domestic conflict. He'll be able to answer that question a little more specifically than I can. That's it. All right, I'll turn it over to Staff Sergeant Davidson.
Yes, sir.
Again, that was Rob Davidson, DAV-IDSON, and Staff Sergeant of the Domestic Conflict Unit. So if you just ask that question again.
Yeah, is it common for domestic incidents to reach this level of escalation?
No, I would say it's actually rather uncommon. We do see approximately 3,400 domestic violence or charge files in Calgary. Only a small portion of those involve serious events or assaults with weapons, and of course a small portion of those will lead to a tragedy like this. What is very concerning for us, just in general terms, not specific to this, is that we know that domestic violence is significantly underreported, that we see up to 20 or 30% of cases are reported to police. So the vast majority of these incidents, violence is occurring isolated in the home, not reported, and it's in those cases we really want victims, families, friends, co-workers, someone to reach out and talk to us, talk to a community support agency, talk to somebody so we can get in there and intervene before it escalates to this level of violence.
So do you think if the family had reported the previous unreported domestic incidences, this could have turned out differently?
Well, I don't want to connect the generalization of the statement I just made to the specifics. It's way too early, and the investigation is still ongoing to know exactly what was going on with this dynamics. But in general terms, if we're going to talk about domestic violence, the earlier that we can get reporting, the earlier we can get intervention either from police or some agency or counseling or support service, I believe the more likely we are to reduce the risk of serious domestic violence.
Has the daughter ever spoken of domestic violence within the unit, the family unit?
I can't speak. I don't have the particulars for this file, and I can't speak to that, but I can speak to any general questions you have.
How many domestic calls do you guys receive on a daily basis?
We average approximately 2 calls per hour, every hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's 7% of all the calls for service, 7 in 100 to the Calgary Police are domestic in nature. So last year we had approximately 19,000 domestic calls, domestic conflict calls for service. So it is a large portion of the work that police do.
Can you say who's making these calls? Is it neighbors? Is it the victims of the domestic violence themselves, or is it varied?
It's completely varied because we have neighbors calling in, we have family calling in, we have teachers, we have co-workers, friends, but we also have the victims themselves that call us directly.
Are those numbers high? Is that average? Can you compare those numbers to a national average? And that's a lot of phone calls.
It does sound like a lot of calls. So one thing I want to point out, in Calgary we have a very robust definition that we use the term domestic conflict, not In other agencies, family violence, intimate partner, spousal violence. So we use a definition that captures any dynamic within the family. Our policies in Calgary say that if you attend any complaint that is domestic in nature, you'll do a report. So we're quite different than other agencies. So comparing our statistics to other agencies doesn't work very well. What we do is we compare ours to ourselves. So what we want to do is we want to capture all of these reports, because all 19,000 are risk assessed. We want to know about occurrences that are happening before violence occurs. That's how we can get there, and we can help reduce or prevent the risk for domestic violence. So our number is very high, but we're comparing it to ourselves. But what we are seeing, in 2015, a significant increase in our files, 40% increase in criminal code files, charge files, 70% increase in serious domestic assault with weapons. And the trend into 2016 is that we're maintaining that significant rise right now in domestic violence.
Could that trend have something to do with the current economy? Can we tie it into anything like that?
Well, we did a study, and we did find a significant correlation between the unemployment rate and domestic violence rate. I do want to stress that unemployment is not a cause of domestic violence, but it is a stressor. So those families are already prone to violence. When you add in that complexity or that layer of unemployment and stresses in finances, it appears to correlate significantly to increased domestic violence.
So the increase that you gave was from 2014 to 2015? The 40%
We're looking at the over the 5-year average. Yeah. So I believe the first quarter 2016 we have a 40% increase in criminal code of domestic violence offenses. Great. Thank you.